they do think a lot
Yeah.
about their trainings. But Kai and Lerik Sipper, the twins who are like
Yeah.
middle sprint distance, I stayed in their house a lot of times, and they're the nicest people, and they're really good athletes, I think, because they do think a lot. But they think a lot, and they also have like the ideas like, let's do this, and it's sometimes changing a little bit too much, I think. But
and a lot of their ideas are very good,
Yeah.
But but you cannot train everything. You have to make a plan.
And they have the same issue like I have. They need to make priorities. What should they do? Because the problem for them, and it's a good problem, they can do everything almost. They can do long, they can do short, they can do ice, they can do inland.
That's where it starts, basically. If you only can do long distance, that's already makes it a lot easier for you. Because when you
there's
can
no
do both,
choice.
it's.
But okay, let's turn to. I think one thing you said, which is really important to highlight again, is you say there's no right or wrong way, and you say the way you coached in Europe 30 years ago is maybe a little bit the style that there is in South America now, and. Like you say, you sit down with the athlete, you have a plan, you talk with them, and you also say, Pascal, you say, you give them some autonomy. That's kind of your tips, and that's kind of your style, and I think that's the European model in a lot of ways. And you make very independent skaters who know themselves, and so. But let's be honest as well. We show up at World Championships every year, and we see the Colombians, and they're the best. They're still winning almost every race. So, I mean, like you said, Frank, it's not like there are so many ways to winning that medal. But I think also a question that you need to start asking is like, how do they win those medals? Because I feel like Colombia always have new good guys, and they're like start 20s, and then they win. And then the next 2 years, you have a new guy, and he's strong, and he's in the start 20s, and then he stopped. And then you have a new guy. So for sure, it's a different world because they have so many skaters as well. It's a little bit the same like ice skating in Holland. You can be tough on the skaters, and then they will be good very quickly. And you do specialize early, but can you keep them until the late 20s or the 30s? Yeah, that's maybe a question. I don't know.
Well, I think a very, very important topic for South American Colombian skaters is I think they will. It's like what we have in running. African runners, it's for them. It's a way to gain to overwin poverty. So if you in Europe we have a lot of luxury. We all live a good life. In Colombia, you can build up a good life when you are good in skating. So that. They have like a very, very
strong passion, and the goals.
And the goal is like in Europe it's only a sportive goal. There it's like they can get a better life with it. So I think it's very hard to race to have a sprint to somebody who can have a life-changing thing by winning gold or not. So that's a very important issue. Subject.
I think Pascal, you've also been in Colombia as a skater sometimes, and you also know some of the coaches from Colombia. And let's say, I think I can say now that you also agree with the fact that there's a lot of different ways to become one of the best skaters in the world. And so we have the European model, let's call it that, where we do not respect, but we give the skater itself some responsibility to get better itself. And the coach is there to guide, not to tell them what to do, but to guide them. But if you do take like the Colombian method, and so what do you think we could learn from that here in Europe?
For me, the most inspiring from the Colombia is that they really want to win. They are the country. You feel it in every athlete, in all the coach, in all the organization. They want to be number one. And more than any other country, more than the French one, more than the Netherlands guy, I would say. In France, if we win 1 or 2 titles in a world championship, it's like we are happy. But I don't like this, actually. When I was athlete, I wanted that we win every race. It was not maybe possible, but I wanted to win every race, and I wanted that my teammate and the woman of the team and the junior, I wanted that we win every race. And I feel that's in the Colombian spirit. Like, they just want to be the number one country. They just don't want to be the number one athlete in one category or in sprint. They just want to be the number one country in skating. And to beat this spirit, you have to get this spirit.
Yeah.
And you can try any method by being super strict in training with no autonomy or having a lot of autonomy.
Yeah, yeah.
All those way of philosophy or training, it doesn't change the fact that you
need to be able to say, hey, I wanna win.
You want to
be
win.
the best.
And finding this big motivation of victory, there is many ways. It can be to get a better social life. It can be to solve a personal problem. It's maybe to get more girls. It can be to get more money, or
that's a good
to
one.
show your parents that you're good. Or many athletes, especially the one who are world champion, they have like another motivation that is not only being world champion. You want to prove something else to yourself, or to any reasons that give you this extra motivation. So probably in Colombia they have a lot of this other motivation that make them become champion.
Yes.
And it's also, I think, our duty as coach to help the French or European skater to find this extreme
passion,
high-level motivation to become a world champion.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's not going to be an easy road.
No,
it's not going to be a one-year road.
No.
Like I like to say, many athletes, it took me 17 years to become world champion.
Yeah, yeah. And it does, at least. If ever, for like, this is the thing, like, there can be one world champion in each race, and there's always more than one who thinks, I will be world champion, I need this. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's how you should race. And that's how, for me, it's something that I've only learned like in the last couple of years. And it's like, why not race with the confidence, yeah? If you're up there and you're able to skate for the win, you should also skate for the win. But I do see a lot of skaters, like top skaters, and they're like, I was pretty good today. I was inside top 10. I think that's my level. And the way they skate sometimes, it's without the passion. It's without taking the chances where it's like, okay, this might bend or break. This might be like my best result ever and I win, or this might be a failure. Some are a little bit too safe, I feel like sometimes. But okay, let's just, because you mentioned earlier, Frank, you said one word which I really like, which I think is not said enough, is coachable. The athlete needs to be coachable, because when you look at talent, and I think talent is something you need to define because people use it in different ways, but you can say a skater when they're really young, they might be like, oh, he's super fast, he's really strong or something. But I think one of the biggest talents from people is the mindset from people they come into the sport with. You have really coachable skaters. You have skaters who are like, they're willing to work themselves. They're good at approaching the coach, get feedback from them, so they are easy to guide because they're open. Because sometimes when you say as a coach to an athlete, hey, you should do this. And I mean, one thing can be the communication from the coach. Is that good enough? The other thing can be the athlete. Is the athlete ready to receive information or input? So then sometimes that communication is not there, and then the athlete in the long term, I think, will run out of talent, and you can't improve anymore because the athlete is not coachable. How do you see you as a coach contributing athletes in developing this coachability through their years, so it's not just dependent on if they have the genetics to be the best in the world, but they can be coachable and they can train for, let's say, 17 years really good, so they can be one of the best in the world?
Well, I think it's like the relationship you have with your skaters. It's every time different, and some people pick up things easy. You tell one time, you do in the corner, you put your foot there, and they do it. Some people, they don't understand. So I think it's from both sides. You have to, as a coach, you have to be able to observe the skaters and to say, okay, this is a skater like this. He needs more talking. He needs less talking. Yeah. So, but in the end, it's of course you are who you are. Yeah. As a coach. Yeah. And as an athlete. So sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't work. But I think with some good intentions, I think. It's that also is a progress for each skater, but also for each coach. You, as a coach, you learn from each skater. Yeah. You learn from each process you're in with the skater. Oh, this is like that. So of course, that's why experience is so important.
It's important, and it adds up. Yeah.
As a sporter, and as a skater, and as a coach.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's something to work on. I think your whole life but sometimes people get confused because, of course, you sometimes in some way you have a skater.
Yeah.
And a coach. As a skater, you can have a coach. Oh, he's a good coach for me. But I think it's that's easy. That's an easy ball game.
Yeah.
But the most thing you when a skater is not listening so well, or maybe he doesn't understand you so well, or at the opposite, the skater thinks, I don't understand this coach.
Yeah.
So I think that's also a very interesting process to go through.
Yeah, and I think some skaters can adapt, so then they can talk with the coach, and I think some coaches can adapt, and then they can talk with different types of skaters, because sometimes people, they're like, no, it's not my type, and then they move on. Not my type, move on. But I feel like I've learned at least to be able to be good in training with coaches in South America, which were really strict, and then with my own coach Jesper, where it's like he knows that I need my freedom, so he lets me do crazy shit sometimes, and I love that.
When you go to Colombia in a different mindset. You go there, okay, I want to learn. I want to know what they are doing. So it's a totally different mindset you go to there when you go training here in Europe.
Yeah,
there you are willing to do everything because you want to know the secret.
I want to see it. I want
to know what are they doing, so you don't question it.
Yeah.
So that's for you. When you go there, you are in a totally different mindset than when you go here in a training camp with a European team.
Yeah, because then I train the same way. I know I trained with the national team from the Dutch guys a few times. You let me join because I'm this one Danish loner guy, always alone. So you let me join, and it's a lot the same type of training that I would do. And then so that's not a big, let's call it, challenge for me. But doing something completely different, if it's ice skating or if it's South America, that's different for me.
Yeah, it's very important that the skater get coachable, like you say. I would I would notice the way they speak to see if you get the access. And most of the time, when you give an information to a skater and the answer yes, but then you know it will not happen.
That should start that should be a note at the back of the head.
So
of
every
coach.
time I hear yes, but from a skater, I just go on him hard. I just no. you can't say this. You can't have this attitude because this is the beginning of where you start to slow down.
I think when the skater says, but you say, Pascal, I think you should do like some more flying laps, and they say, yes, but I didn't feel like butter. When they say yes, but, you know they're not listening.
Exactly. Yeah. For me, it's this moment they lose
locked.
themselves.
They're locked and they're closed.
You have to show them that they put a limit that it's not necessary to reach higher level.
Yeah.
And as an athlete, it's important to try to take the information not as a critics, but as a advice.
Yeah.
And sometime after years of training, or after too many frustration in performance, you could take the information as critics, and then it's also a problem.
It's a bad circle or it's a good circle, because I remember the best advices I've ever gotten from coaches, if it was about my technique or anything, the advices where I felt like, oh, that was harsh, or that was mean, that was usually the best advice I ever got. And when I started not being offended or not being like defensive about it, that's when I really started, like when he said like, hey, I think your basic position is really bad and you do this. Not, he probably say it in a better way, but for me, I will hear it in that way, and I will be like, that's one of the things I think, hey, I'm doing that really well, I think. But then you're not open. And I think if you're open like that as an athlete, if you learn to use that feedback as what it is from the coach, as a guide and as a help and not as critic, you can start to improve and be more coachable. So that's the thing probably. But I think that's almost all what we have time for today, because otherwise it's going to be too long. But it was very, very nice, and we can talk forever because there's a lot of things. And I really appreciate talking to you, Pascal. Thank you.
Yes, thank you also.
And thank you very much to you, Frank.
Okay.
So appreciate much all your inputs, and I hope it can help coaches or athlete or both. And let's help make this sport grow. Yeah.
Thanks for doing it. It's amazing. We need to have more content for the skaters so they get better and bring the sport to another level.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. And thank you, Frank.